Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. Today I think we're going to just talk about overall situation I've seen in a number of lessons in golf schools rather than read a question that came in. And it's a really important subject, and I want to talk about the master setup position. And I titled it the master setup position because it was very, very critical in terms of getting into the right posture to be able to make a correct takeaway into the catcher's mitt and up the tree. And I'll lift the club up the tree, and then naturally in a transition to return the club back to impact in a square position to swing through into the forward catcher's mitt, toe up and up the tree into the mitt. So I think today I'd like to start by just talking about the key to the setup. You've heard me say all time and time again, the setup determines the motion. How your muscles move are determined by the position in which you make it the place to make the motion. And so the master setup position is one that the trail arm, the back arm for a right-handed golfer, the right arm, has to be set down below the front one. Most golfers we look at always have the right arm relatively straight and higher, and in many cases, if you're looking at a shot from down the line like this, you never see the forward arm. You only see the back arm. Well, if you get into the proper master setup position, you should see some of the forward arm above the forearm of the right arm for a right-hander, the trail arm. Okay, now that amount of that you'll see will vary. If you have a fairly short club like wedges through 7-irons, I have a 7-iron in my hand, and you get into the proper setup position, you will see that maybe if I put a club across the shoulders here, it might come to from anywhere to the very top. You'll just see the very top of my left forearm, my forward forearm, to maybe just above the middle. But by the time you get into a driver where the shaft's a lot flatter, longer and flatter than the 7-iron through wedges, the forward arm will be down enough that at some point the club resting on the shoulder on the right forearm would come into the middle or even lower part of the forward forearm. Okay, and so it'll be a little bit more tilt. So what does the master setup position actually entail when you look at it from a face on? Well, it entails that once you get in this position and you get your right arm lower, the number one way to get the right arm lower is when we get into the preloaded heavy right and sit here, you just get your whole right side very droopy, almost like as if I'm going to pick that golf bag up and just drop it only on my right shoulder. I'm only going to use one strap on my right shoulder, and it's going to be rather heavy. We want our shoulders relaxed and downward, and the test I like to use is the arm lift test. Would be like if you're standing up here and just stand up straight and just hunch your shoulders up. Now try to lift your arms. You can't. Now let's say I could keep my left shoulder down but hunch my right shoulder up. I could lift my left one pretty good, but I can't lift my right one. So you need technically to lift both arms up. You need both shoulders down. Now even though I droop with this shoulder and this shoulder comes up, I'm not going to hunch it up. Normally if you start hunching your shoulders are pulled up and close to your cheeks. All right? Like this. You can't throw it. You can't lift your arms and throw anything that way. That's why you see baseball pitchers on the mound. They let out the big breath. They take the big breath and let it out. They relax all the chest and lung muscles and neck and shoulder muscles, so their arms go down. So now they're free, and they got plenty of freedom of movement and the ability to lift their arms up. Especially if they're going to throw or they're going to bat, or a tennis player is going to throw the ball up to be able to go and serve it, or even just regular hit it back and forth with forehands or backhands. All right, so your shoulders have to be down and relaxed. And so I think that taking that into consideration, if they have to be down, I think one of the places I see where a lot of Surgites get in trouble in the address position is that they walk in, they take their address and everything else, and I'm going to kind of do this from the side view here this time. They take their address, they walk into a golf ball, and they got their club, so to speak, behind the ball, so it's somewhat resting on the ground. It's on the ground, and their arms are high, and then they try to put it down. Well, if the club's on the ground, it's hard for the club to go down, because now you'd have to. It's just unnatural, because you're already if your arm is straight and the club's on the ground, it makes it very difficult to be able to relax your shoulders and hips to get into that right side position. But if you do it in the air, that's a lot easier to do. So when I walk into a ball, I always take my grip. I'll do this from the front view, and then I'll turn for the side view. I always walk in. I have my hand somewhat down where there's enough room here to put my left hand on it. I have my right hand down here. When I'm lifting it up, I'm already checking out the leading edge of my club face to be plumb to the ground. And I always lift it up, and I always cock it a little bit like this, turn it just a little bit like that, where it's pointing at my left hip, and my left hand just comes right up on and slides on the club, and I take my grip up here in the air. And then the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to curl my right elbow under a little bit and just droop my shoulder. Now, if I've done that in the air, right, I'm going to come up. I'm going to just check my club face, turn it towards my forward hip, my left hip, get my grip, and then I drop it in here. Then I come to the ground. So now my left arm is already in a somewhat bent position, soft, relaxed, shoulder down and droopy. So now from there I can just go into the forward catcher's mitt. Go into the catcher's mitt, turn a little, lift, rotating the club toe up into the forward catcher's mitt, and both arms lift up equally together to form that beautiful triangle at the top, where the base of the triangle, elbow to elbow, would basically be horizontal, dead horizontal to the ground. And that's so easy. It is so much more simple, easy, and consistent to do when you get your arm and shoulder in the right position in the air and go to the ground from there, and it's already bent. If you're straight, it's going to be pretty hard to bend it all and get down and not have yourself kind of crumpled up and forcing the issue. It just falls into place when you're up in the air. And remember, when you finally go this way, you can't let the club face open and close. You got to get it in hand, come straight down, and that face stays square to the ground, so that when you walk back in and put it on your aiming line, the club face is square to the target. All right. So we want that droopy right or backside for the master setup position, where the back arm will have a little bit of bend in it, and below the forearm, and that's going to give you the perfect one-piece move of lifting the club toe up into the catcher's mitt and lifting it up the tree to get to that 3/4 limited turn vertical backswing, so you can hit it much more solid, straight, and longer, and shoot those lower scores. That's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking to y'all again soon.